This is the Boys Gen V podcast from TV Podcast Industries, and we're talking about Gen V, Season 1 finale, Episode 8, Guardians of Godolkin.
Sam, I want what's best, and you know that.
You want what is best for you.
I risked everything for you.
Emma, you would do anything for everyone to like you. You're not a hero.
Welcome back, fellow boys and girls. This is the Gen V podcast from TV Podcast Industries. We're on the finale of Season 1 of Gen V, and it is Episode 8, Guardians of Godolkin. I am one of your hosts, Dirty John.
I am your other host, Derek. What a week it's been this week.
Absolutely.
In one day, we have the penultimate episode of Loki, we have the finale of Gen V, and we have the first episode of Invincible Season 2, all available at the same time.
I know. What a time to be living in. I say that because that's just stupid.
It is very silly. But anyway, but three really good shows that we're covering.
Yeah, kind of.
Well, we already have our podcast out for the first episode of Invincible on our main feed on the TV Podcast Industry feed. It also sits on the Boys feed. If you listen to the Boys, you'll probably already have that there. If you listen to our Gen V podcast, you'll have it there as well. First episode was great. It's really good to be back in the animated, ultra-violent world of Invincible. So,
definitely. I mean, I'm not on the podcast. It is a Derek and Chris omelette special.
It is.
For sure. And of course, it sounded very much like you were podcasting from a war zone. With a bit like Godolkin Campus on this episode of Gen V. With all the fireworks going off, of course, around Dublin for Halloween.
I had to laugh at one point. I was going, I can't concentrate on what I'm saying because there's like explosions going on behind Chris, and then on my side there was explosions going on. I did everything I could to remove the noise in the background, but it was impossible. Like when Chris was doing his synopsis, it was like as if he was being underscored by the fireworks as he got to the big points of the episode. But it's still a great episode. Hopefully you're joining us for our Invincible series as we close out our Gen V coverage with the final episode of Season 1 of Gen V.
Yes. Before we get into our spoiler-filled discussion, though, of this final episode of Gen V, remember to pop on over to our website at tvpodcastindustries.com, where you can subscribe to any bloody podcast player of your choice.
Yes, absolutely. You can also subscribe over at Spotify, and the cool thing about Spotify is you can also leave comments over there. We got a comment on one of our episodes for the Gen V podcast from jmill33, who said, "This is one of the best podcasts going. As always, thanks."
Thank you so much, J Mill.
Oh, thanks, J Mill.
That's really nice. Yeah, it's great stuff. Always great to get feedback from our fellow boys and girls, and of course, fellow industrialists. Whichever podcast that you tune into, it's great getting the feedback like that. It really helps us to know what we're doing right or wrong. In some cases.
Yeah. We'd prefer if you emailed us directly and said there was something really wrong.
Yeah, well,
like email us and go, next time, don't record on Halloween because then you won't have the fireworks outside. You can email that to us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com if you want to. Or you can join us over in our Facebook group. Direct access to slag us off about how bad our podcast can be sometimes. Joking, obviously. But you can join us there at facebook.com/groups/tvpodcastindustries.
Yes. You can leave any thoughts, comments, observations, theories, or slags, of course, on the spoiler posts for each and every episode of the TV shows that we cover. And also a quick campus public announcement. We will be concluding our Gen V student bar quiz with the final question later in the episode. Remember, fellow quizzers and fellow boys and girls, gather together all 8 answers to the pub quiz questions at the end of this season of Gen V and email them into us at feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com to be in with a chance of getting your hands on some Gen V goodies. Yes.
Can I announce this, John?
Of course you can.
All right. So we're still crossing our fingers because we don't have it in hand, but it looks like the prize for our Gen V podcast is going to be a God You Letterman jacket. So those cool ones that have the letters of God You written on the front of them. Very cool jacket. Hoping to get our hands on it in the next couple of weeks. But thanks to our friends over at Prime Video, they're sending us on a Letterman jacket for one lucky listener who gets all the questions right. So enter that. We will be doing our wrap-up podcast about all of the 4 pub quizzes that we've got going on at the moment. So make sure you get your entry in for that and you could get your hands on a God You Letterman jacket.
Yes, we do have some outstanding pub quiz wrap-ups to be done for another 3 of our podcasts from earlier this autumn, as well as maybe earlier in...
It's a very late summer.
Yeah, late summer.
Very late summer.
So, yes, hold on tight, fellow boys and girls, because and fellow quizzers, importantly, because, yes, we will be announcing the results of 4 pub quizzes. It will be a pub quiz smorgasbord.
It will. Yes. Absolutely. I think we should get into the episode though, John.
Yes, Derek. Let us know some of the episode details, please.
Yes, for the final time this season, this show was developed by Craig Rosenberg and Evan Goldberg with Eric Kripke. The showrunners for the show are Michelle Fazekas and Tara Butters, and this was based on the comic book series, of course, The Boys by Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson. The executive producers for the show include Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. And this episode was written by Brant Engelstein, who wrote episode 2 of this season of Gen V. And the episode was directed by Sana Hamry. Interestingly, Sana Hamry directed 4 episodes of The Wheel of Time season 2, which we covered this year, including that epic finale of that show.
Wow. Excellent stuff. Yeah, that means 2 finales for Sana.
Yes, on Prime Video this year. The 2 biggest shows, I think, that Prime Video have had this year as well.
Excellent stuff. It also possibly explains one of the blood powers that we see from Marie here as well.
Yes.
It looked very Wheel of Time.
It did, didn't it? It did.
Excellent stuff.
Yeah, so John, do you want to tell us what they gave us with your synopsis for Gen V Episode 8, Guardians of Godolkin?
Sure. In the aftermath of Dean Shetty's murder, a divide emerges in the group of Goldolkin University, with Cate and Sam seeking to prove their superiority over humans. As Cate and Sam return to the woods to free the remaining captives before leading them in a killing spree on non-Supes across campus, no associate professor of media is safe. At the same time, Marie, Jordan and Emma attempt to contain the chaos emerging across campus. By chance, Vought CEO Ashley Barrett is at Godolkin University for a meeting with the trustees on how to spin Luke's suicide, as well as addressing the declining applications and poor grades at the university. But very rapidly, saving their own lives is added as an emergency AOB to their agenda, as they request the assistance of Homelander, with the vengeful Supes making their way closer to Ashley, Bourke, and the trustees. As Marie helps to contain some of the mess, she demonstrates increased mastery of her blood powers, taking down a Cate-controlled Maverick and one of the escaped Supes. Meanwhile, Sam suffers a crisis of conscience about his part in the killings as he starts to hallucinate his deceased brother Luke, who tells him to stop and reveals how he died. But Sam is ultimately swayed by Cate, and he ignores his inner Luke, allowing Cate to destroy his ability to feel emotions. In Vaught's medical facility, Andre learns that Polarity's seizure was the result of brain damage caused by his powers, before receiving the Polarity mantle from his father. He rushes back to Godolkin when he learns what has transpired there after a phone call with Cate, and sides with Marie to stop the continuing bloodshed and to help fight the rampaging Supes. As things come to an explosive head, Cate tries to brainwash Jordan, but Marie detonates Cate's arm before Homelander arrives and attacks Marie, accusing her of attacking her own kind. Sometime later, Marie, Jordan, Emma, and Andre awaken in a sealed hospital room with no door at an unknown location and learn they were framed for Sam and Cate's attack, while the pair are hailed as guardians of Godolkin. Meanwhile, at Goldolkin University, Billy Butcher investigates the ruins of the woods. What a bunch of country club members.
Well, things certainly came to many explosive heads in this episode, didn't
Yes, and indeed, across the season, we had exploding penis tips, we had head explosions galore in multi-story car parks, and, of course, across this campus.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Yep, they saved a lot of the blood shed for this episode, but this cracked along at a pace.
It really did.
It seemed like a shorter episode, about 37, 40 minutes, somewhere around that, and cracked along through this closing out episode, setting up season 2 and setting up where we're going in The Boys season 4 as well, in little bits, which I'm sure we'll talk about as we get into the episode. But I am laughing that last week's episode where we had the doctor's head exploding. You wanted to leave the room because you didn't want to see another head explode. This episode, it was like every 2 minutes someone's head was exploding. We didn't watch it together this time, and I was just thinking that John's sitting at home covering his face with a pillow as all the heads explode across campus.
No, I was more okay with it because you kind of knew it was coming. It wasn't necessarily... It just was a tense scene with Newman last week and the Doctor.
It was.
She is creepy in the end. So, and the atmosphere was just generated really well with that scene. So
yeah, and you're just not really too sure if it's going to end with a head explosion. You're kind of anticipating when it's going to happen, whereas here it was people going around just destroying everything around them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But shall we get into our interesting moments, our freshman moment, our sophomore moment, and of course our senior moment
of course.
From this episode. Let us get into our freshman or minor moment from episode 8. Yes, Ashley and the board.
They've done such a good job in this show of bringing in characters from The Boys and making it feel natural, making it feel like it's totally part of The Boys. You know, we talked about it earlier on in the season that spin-offs quite often try and completely stand alone, and then you kind of feel they're dispensable or disposable, so you don't have to watch them. Whereas this feels very incorporated, just looking at a different side of the world of The Boys rather than it feeling completely separate. So when you have this board member meeting with Ashley and my favourite named character in the show, Other Ashley, the assistant of Ashley, or the very put upon assistant. There's a great line in the X-ray, the behind the scenes kind of stuff that says that Other Ashley keeps her job by just agreeing with everything that Ashley says. That's her role.
Absolutely.
So, great to see her in here.
Definitely. I loved having Ashley here at Godolkin, and especially with the unfolding crisis. I mean, I just find her hilarious in terms of how she deals with other human beings. I mean, it's so obnoxious, but at the same time, then just her self-preservation mode at all times. You know, she works with Supes on a constant basis. The danger is there for her, the risk every day. Yeah. And it's almost like arms flailing in the air, running around, sort of screaming orders at different moments. You know, get Homelander, get the helicopter. You know, as Bourke tries to get into the meeting room, she's like, who's this? And, you know, it's the person who she was in the toilet cubicle getting amorous with at the big movie extravaganza from the last season
the
of
premiere
The Boys.
of the Dawn of the Seven. Yeah, absolutely. And that's when we learned that how Ashley copes with her stress is by pulling out her own hair. So we've seen that she is a massively stressed character, but I do love, I absolutely love Colby Menifee in this role. It's probably the best role I've seen her in. She's been in multiple shows before, but this role that she's had where she's gotten her way up to the head of Vought, and it's basically she feels like if she doesn't do everything right, or if they find out when things go wrong, someone's going to kill her. So that's how scary her job is. We think our jobs are stressful where you might be fired, not have someone laser you in half if you get your job wrong.
Exactly. You know, and even just, you know, her quips to the other trustees where they're trying to get someone to go effectively straight into the Seven because of what happened with Luke's suicide, the decline in applications, and so on.
And they've lost 2 members of the Seven as well, remember?
Yeah, so, and as they go through the the different sort of photo cards. It's, you know, why Andre, for example. And it's like, oh, well, we'll park that one, come back to him later after, you know, she hears that he does poll well with sort of 18 to 25-year-olds.
Because it's the connection with his father, isn't it? That's the reason. There's a great little gag in there, behind-the-scenes gag in there, where she calls out his special extra talent is that he has a British accent, which is why she knows somebody's pushing for it. But the fun joke about that is that Chance Padermo, who plays Andre, is actually British American. So he rose to fame in the UK playing a role on BBC Three. So he is British. So the joke about it is that he's putting on an American accent, and his special skill is that he can also do a British accent.
Yeah,
so
no, exactly. Really good. Yeah. I just loved just how that all sort of went down. You know, again, I just loved it. Like, where is Shetty? Like, screaming it as the crisis unfolds.
Yeah.
So I just loved how, you know, this is a perfect situation for this character with her hyped up level of anxiety and stress as a result of being the CEO of Vought, and, you know, just how she just blows with the wind, really, as to what is the crisis at that moment. And, you know, poor other Ashley having to deal with these changing moods, changing decisions. The other interesting thing with this was, you know, they got so desperate, and threatened by being cooped up in this room with all the Supes running, amok, and killing everyone, that they started just phoning them all up to offer them a place in the Seven if they save them, if they deal with the situation. And interestingly, she calls Marie and offers a meeting with her sister if she agrees, but just as all the Wi-Fi and the telephone signals go down across the campus after, I think Marie hits a big panic button in Shetty's office, which causes all the doors to slam, all the window coverings to come down. So those student dorms become the prisons that were intended if something like this happened.
Exactly. But I also love how quickly that's resolved as well. Ashley's like, oh, okay, someone's pushed the button. We now have that noise that affects all Supes, the noise that knocks them off balance, and Ashley's kind of going, okay, grand, we can get ourselves out of here. And within about 3 seconds, the guy has used his banshee-like powers to knock out all of the speaker systems. So, you know, the one big fallback that we had, the one big red button to push if everything goes wrong, unfortunately didn't calm anything down at all. Yeah, no. So yeah, love the scene, loved having Ashley back here, and really a lot of fun with the board. I was quite surprised that we didn't see at least one of the board members buy it, though. There's about 4 or 5 extras in that cast, I would say, would be the way I'd put it. I was expecting at least one of them to be taken out.
Yeah.
But they didn't get
no, not at all.
All saved.
Not at all. Don't work in PR if you're associated with Vought, is basically the thing here.
Well, that is true. That does happen during the full battle of Godolkin, which we will obviously talk about. But yes, we do see the death of the PR guy, who's interestingly kind of calls himself undercover as the PR guy. We see him realizing that the attack is going on, and then he uses his gadget to explode the head of one of the attacking Supes, and then goes, my cover's been blown. So while he is a very annoying PR guy, they're kind of backing it up and saying he's just pretending to be a PR guy. So not all PR guys are like this. Please stay on staff, Gen V PR people.
Well, and ultimately he gets killed in front of camera by Cate, who gives him the explosive device put into his mouth, like he did to one of the Supes that was coming for him. But I just liked how that all kicked off, where last time we'd seen him effectively in a cast on crutches. He's all healthy again. He's walking again. It's the best day of his life. You know, those 6 months of being in a cast, hobbling around, all behind him. And then this absolute shit show happens.
Exactly.
And well, there's no plaster cast for an exploded head.
I don't think so. But if, whoever creates that in the world of the boys will make a lot of money, I think. If you could do that, if you could restore people's heads, if that was your superpower. Yes, I think that would be a way.
But shall we move on to our sophomore moment, our medium moment from this episode? It is the Battle of Godolkin.
Yes, the majority of the episode. So it kind of kicks off, you mentioned it in the synopsis there, following the death of Shetty. We have Cate hearing the voices of everybody else, going back to obviously distrusting her for everything that she's done, because they can't even trust her to keep Shetty alive. She murdered someone in front of them all. And remember, all these kids have gone to this school thinking they're going to become heroes. So here we have Cate killing the dean of the school in front of them all. She protests and says, you know, I'm trying to save you guys. This is something that I had to do.
Yeah.
And then as she's hearing all their voices come into her head, she goes that she wants to free everybody that's in the woods, which gets Sam on her side. So Sam joins up with her because of course, he's been experimented on for many, many years.
Absolutely.
And was trapped in the woods. So,
I think I think Cate and Sam, for both of them, you know, their vengeance here, their revenge on these people is justified. You know, it makes sense. Sam, because, you know, like he's trying to explain to Emma, even though I do think Sam becomes a big douchebag during this whole thing, you know, he's right. I had needles being hammered into my spine. Yep. I was isolated, locked up, tortured, you know, suppressed. So you can understand that. You can understand why, you know, this notion, I think, that you get from Cate, you know, they are the ones that are inferior to us. We are the superior race here, you know, and that is the same view, philosophy, whatever you want to call it, that ultimately has emerged and evolved in Homelander over the first 3 seasons of The Boys. So like, it totally makes sense. And even Cate, you know, she has been abused as well. She just didn't know it. You know, her naivety as a young girl, a teenage girl that had been isolated as well by her parents. You know, this false hugging from Shetty. She was manipulated, and her naivety was manipulated, and she has seen that. She's done her part in the woods as well. She now realizes why and how and what it was for. And that is something that she feels used and abused for. So, so you can understand this.
Yeah. And one thing, I suppose, because of the split with the death of Shetty at the end of the last episode, the big cliffhanger, one of the things that might not have carried across to this episode is the other big revelation from Shetty was that this school isn't a school. They are monitoring you the whole time. That's the only reason people are there. And it explains why they have so few classes as well. They are just there to be monitored as Supes and to be turned to the advantage of Vought, effectively. So that's one of the other things that contributes to Cate making this decision here, because they are just being experimented on in this school. This isn't for their progress. This isn't for their future. It's for the future of Vought and the experimentation they want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Cate and Sam, you know, want to be heroes effectively here. But I did like how Sam ultimately was all over the place here. I did like the fact that he was having those doubts, whether it was through the inner conscience of seeing and hallucinating his dead brother Luke, but also because of his experience with Emma after his release and so on. And I kind of liked how he was questioning what he was doing, but ultimately decided he's had enough feelings for one life, and chooses to ignore his brother, ignore Emma, in trying to sort of pull him back from this bloodshed and violence and vengeance, to ultimately want to feel nothing. And Cate here has given him a bad setting for the rest of his life, that he will be numb to any form of emotion and feeling.
Yes, not just emotion, because we do have the moment where Andre confronts him and uses the electric baton that from the guards of the school, and Sam's able to withstand it and not even react to it until he falls down. So his body is taking the pain and hurt, but he can't feel anything at all here. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I kind of like this struggle with Sam, and because you were rooting for him, and ultimately then he turns into the douchebag, both in the theatre with Emma, although, you know, that was really harsh on Emma. I thought it was a great scene, but I did kind of like what he was saying. There were elements of it that you could understand, in the sense that, you know, where he's like effectively shouting at her saying, for what I've gone through, this is normal. What do you expect? I haven't had your life. I thought he was really harsh on her.
Absolutely, because the reason why he was saying that was he was responding to her going, it's normal not to kill people. It's normal not to execute people as you walk through this place. And he's going, no, this is normal. I'm normal for what I've gone through.
Exactly.
So while I understand he's gone through a lot, it's still not normal to murder people.
No, exactly. No, it's not. But what I mean is, you know, in a sense, what we saw of Emma, the thing is, what he doesn't recognize is the evolution that she has had as a person within this show. So, you know, actually, a lot of what he was saying, you could go, well, from episode 1, I could get that. You want everyone to like you. Yeah, you know, you're effectively using your body in various ways in order to get likes. It, you know, it's very much the influence of her mother to be popular likes. He doesn't realize that, you know, when she says, I risked everything for you. That's right. You know, she closed down her mother. She helped him escape, and he's totally blanking her. And that's that's the only thing I didn't get here, was that he didn't want to recognize what she had done. He was putting these excuses that it was for her. She wasn't thinking about him at all. And I'm not entirely sure I know where that came from, because I can understand, you know, his quick radicalization from hanging out with Rufus in the last episode, but this was a real personal, intimate connection that they had, which Emma is trying to explain, and he suddenly just dismisses it totally.
Yeah, because she's trying to tell him to stop going on his revenge path, which he is now fully on board with, you know?
Yeah, but it's before Cate has numbed him. So I think the problem is that not only is he battling Emma, but he is battling his inner conflict about what he's doing here. Yes, it's right, but he also understands it's wrong because of the hallucinations he's having with his brother, Luke, which is effectively his inner angel on his shoulder, you know?
But how stupidly he dismisses that. That's the thing. He wants to go on this revenge plan, but he does have his inner voice telling him not to do it. But he dismisses it because his inner voice in the personification of Luke tells him, I love you, don't do this. And he goes, but you can't be me because I hate myself. So he's going on this revenge path, hating himself, knowing that this is the thing that he wants to do, to take revenge on everything that has been done to him. And Emma's standing in his way as well. So in the same way as him calling out this vision of Luke and going, you can't possibly be part of me because I hate myself, he's also saying to Emma, you can't possibly love me. You obviously were only doing it for yourself, not for me. So again, it's not correct what he's saying. He's just making excuses for what he wants to do and continue on this path of revenge.
Emma is unfortunately hitting
in the crossfire.
You know, having that, or pleading with him at the moment where he has all this stuff going on in his head, his turmoil about how he thinks about himself. You know, and all of that. And that's why it doesn't cut through.
Exactly.
It's why it doesn't cut through, as you say, with his brother. And ultimately, he gets, I would think, the worst sort of suggestion from Cate ever.
Absolutely. No,
it's going to be a nightmare in The Boys season 4.
Absolutely. And in Gen V season 2, of course. So we did speculate last week that Rufus had radicalized him because Rufus is able to also control people's minds in some ways, like he did earlier on the season with Marie, but that didn't pan out this episode. We didn't see any evidence of that in this episode. We just see a scene of Rufus trying to do a reaction video to a Rihanna song as he gets interrupted. But that's all we saw. So
it was interesting actually, because with the freeing of the Supes from the woods, I did wonder whether any of them were infected. And I actually thought that might be initially the way it was going to go, was that, you know, there'd be coughing and spluttering, and at least Cate and Sam would get infected here whilst they were down in the woods.
Like the 28 days later thing where they released the monkeys that had been tested on, and that's how the virus gets out in the world. You think that one of the guys the first guy I think that they free, you see sweat patches all the way around his sweatshirt. He's the one that's that has the banshee ability, the ability to scream really loudly.
And the heat ability.
And the heat ability, I thought that it was him that was the carrier, and that's how it would get out into the world.
Me too. I really did think that. But seemingly, at least not at the moment. And I mean, I guess ultimately, Dr. Cordova and Shetty, it was 2 to 3 days for it to take effect, and it needed to have that exchange of bodily fluid. So they would need to cough in their face or sneeze, and for it to get sort of, somewhere near their eyeball or their mouth or whatever. Or I guess they just got really raunchy during this bloodletting and had sex.
Maybe, but they
didn't. Or they did off screen, and that's how it'll happen.
Maybe. But he was also getting very close to his victims. He was strangling people as well. So potentially some of those people that survived might have picked up the virus from him, or when he gets his head exploded, maybe the people that do the clean up could get infected.
Well, that's it. With the amount of blood flying around, including some of the Supes that were released from the woods, it's still a possibility.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have taken effect immediately there in this scene.
Exactly.
We're really, this is the immediate moment after, and their release, and the immediate aftermath on the news that we see. So it could still be a possibility that happens here.
Exactly.
Sure.
Speaking of blood flying around, also one of the big movements, I suppose, in the episode is how Marie is kind of taking up her mantle of the Guardian of Godolkin and joining up with Andre, and they're both making a plan for how they take out Cate. Cate gets Maverick, the son of Translucent, the invisible guy, sets him after Marie, so touches his shoulder and goes, go kill them. I don't know why, but it did make me laugh when Cate touches his shoulder. Obviously, he's invisible. All we can see is the glasses and hat. He just goes, okay, and takes off the glasses and hat, and then is invisible. So I just like the response of, okay, to going and killing Marie. But she has the battle with him. She uses the lessons that she learned from Newman to be able to see his blood.
That. I like that little touch where it just flashed back to her sort of sensing the compound V in her blood. I thought it was really good. Yeah. They've done those little touches before in this season, and I think they're really useful and powerful.
Yeah.
Really, because just seeing the arteries and the veins, and, that arterial network sort of get revealed as she's trying to sense where he is. It almost reminded me of The Invisible Man with Kevin Bacon, and it was really good.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking of the more recent Invisible Man movie that was out a couple of years ago, which had something similar. But yeah, you're right. Of course, they did the same thing in the Kevin Bacon movie as well. Yeah. It's a great effect, seeing it happen. And then Marie takes out Maverick with a massive, what would you call it?
It's the helicopter blade.
It's the helicopter blade. That's what it is. I was trying to work out whether it was stone or whether it was something that had come off the building. But it must have been the helicopter blade. Yeah. And then he's revealed, interestingly.
Yeah, she doesn't seem particularly that impressed by his look.
Yeah.
She's like, what the F?
But it's weird, isn't it? Because his power is that he is invisible at all times, and we never saw his father, Translucent, never saw him revealed.
True, actually. So why did he suddenly become visible?
Yeah. So she just smacked him across the face, and suddenly he's visible. So I wonder if he'd made that choice.
Yeah, it should be that he was down invisible.
Yeah.
It's almost like she's knocked the superpower out of him.
Or he had made that choice to be invisible at all times, like his father, but he could have been visible whenever he wanted to be. Yeah.
Or it's something to do with maybe what she was doing to find him affected the compound V as well. I don't know. I mean, but that's an interesting choice that he would be revealed, and not just stay invisible on the floor.
Yeah. There you go. So he is revealed. I think we did see his face earlier on in the show. We saw him at Translucent's funeral in season 2, episode 1 of The Boys. So we have seen him visible before. So this is the second time he's been visible. So it's likely that it is just a choice.
Yeah, it's just a choice.
But before we leave Maverick, just one other quick thing that I saw on the internet this week that just made me also laugh about Maverick. Do you know the joke that's been going on about the S&M relationship that he's been having with the alpaca?
Yeah.
Yeah. So speculation, and I just didn't think about it. I just thought it was a funny gag in the background. Speculation that the alpaca girlfriend that he has is a shapeshifter, and that's why she's in the shape of an alpaca, which makes a lot more sense than him having a sexual relationship with an alpaca, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I just didn't think about it.
No, exactly.
I like Gen V fans. They come up with theories to cover off things I haven't even thought about.
Yeah. But I really liked Emma's, that evolution I think one of my favorite moments was where one of the Supes that kind of almost runs like a four-legged animal and zips through, sort of loses form and then reappears, is going towards the helicopter where the trustees and Ashley and Bourke have been put in because it's contained and they'll be safe. And she uses all the blood that has been spilled to form daggers that she fires at him, killing him before he manages to attack Ashley and the trustees.
Yes.
And I just absolutely loved Bourke's line here. I'm putting that in my next movie. It was really, really good. I must say, I was laughing for a long time after that.
Very good.
Well, after the explanation of Jesus Christ or whatever it was, it's like, I'm putting that in my next movie. I'm like, that's so funny.
It's really good.
Really good.
It's really good. And I suppose to connect it back, so what we've seen is Marie's powers have been in the past cutting her hand open, using blood out of her hand as a weapon, so it's still connected into her own veins, and she's using them like whips and ropes. In this case, she's thinking back to how her dad died, how her mom died, and knows that she can use other blood to throw and turn it into other things, so she turns it into these blood daggers, I guess. Getting any flashbacks to Wheel of Time,
yes,
John?
I definitely thought that. It did feel like the
water
use,
bullets or air bullets?
the use of the power.
Yeah.
The one power.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought that was quite cool.
And I also like the fact that she just effectively blew Cate's forearm off as well. I thought that was really... But again, you could sense that was reactionary.
That was accidental, yes.
You know, because of what happened when she first got those powers. She was so shocked. You know, it was that surprise. And this was, you know, Cate is running to Jordan, the person that she's in love with. You know, you hear her say, we're really good together, as they're fighting off different Supes and so on. And Cate goes to manipulate Jordan. And she just, it's the reaction of her powers that blows the forearm off Cate. And, do you know, I thought that was really good because I just went in my mind, well, that'll do it. That will stop her from being able to manipulate people by touch, at least.
It's only one arm. She does have another arm.
I know she does, but I was just like thinking, oh, do the other one now. And then like, because effectively that is the way to immobilize Cate. I mean, unless these drugs and pills that Shetty has been given her has limited her power to touch, and ultimately because she's able to deal more with the thoughts of people without touching them, whether she becomes a bit sort of Professor Xavier in the way that she can manipulate people just by thinking.
See, I think she can just read their minds.
Well, that's the
other part of her power, but the touch power, I think, is half of it's been solved by taking off. So you just
take off the other forearm.
There you go.
Then she'd have to kind of go in with the upper arm to sort of touch people.
Yeah, or kiss them on the forehead, and maybe that's the way to do it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So I thought this was really interesting development, actually, even though it was a knee-jerk reaction.
I liked how it was done, because, again, we said the episode's quite short, which meant that I was expecting a bit more in the battle, because I thought we had more time left in the episode. So when you have that moment and you have Jordan walking towards Marie, and then you just see the slow motion hand coming out off screen of Cate about to touch Jordan, you go, oh wow, Jordan versus Marie, round 2 from episode 1. We saw the two of them get into it before Jordan went after Luke, but was there going to be a moment where the two of them battled against each other? You know, if that happened, you can't take the power away. Only Cate can do that, right? Only she can take the manipulation away. So I thought it was going to be Jordan versus her partner, basically. So just to have that real surprise moment where off comes Kate's arm was a bit of a shock.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything else about the Battle of Godolkin in the episode, John?
We just to say that, you know, we have Andre arriving a little bit later into the fray because he's been by his father's side, where we hear that Polarity's powers and likely Andre's have been causing the seizure because of damage to his brain over the course of time with him using his powers. Effectively, you know, as Andre says to his dad, you know, your powers are killing you. And we have this apology from his father to Andre for effectively just staying quiet about the woods. And then this handing over the mantle of Polarity to Andre. And Andre comes in on the fight, again, tries to stop Cate.
Yeah.
But again, it's the distrust of what she will do with her power.
Absolutely.
Prevents him from getting close. And the same thing happens with Marie. I mean, there is that moment where Marie's kind of like, I just give up,
Yeah.
So I kind of like that element in this episode.
Yeah,
as well.
I liked Andre effectively dodging backwards as Cate reaches out for him. It is a very touching scene with Polarity, his father, but in a very boys' way, which made me laugh, where it was called Michelle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Andre goes, Michelle the PR person or Michelle from costume? And of course the answer is costume, because I want to get the costume resized for you, because that's what happens in the world of the boys. It's always the PR team or costuming to sort you out, not another doctor that could help us out more. So like that.
Yeah, good stuff. Shall we get on to our senior or major moment of the episode?
Well, we have to talk about how this all wraps up for the season.
Absolutely.
And the two biggest cameos, I guess you could expect. I don't know whether I was expecting both cameos that we get towards the end of the episode, but it follows on directly from Marie blowing off the arm of Cate as she's standing there shocked. We have the arrival of Homelander himself.
Yeah, it's interesting as well with what Homelander says, where he asks, what kind of animal are you that attacks their own? Because you get the sense that he was floating up in the atmosphere, watching it all with his beady eyes, to see how it unfolds. You just get the sense he was observing, and it fits right into the end of season 3 of The Boys, where he openly kills a human for sort of questioning him and shouting at him and his kid. So I thought this was an interesting twist, because he's been called there. We do have Ashley saying, get Homelander here.
Yes.
In her blind panic. And of course, even then with the spin afterwards. So to what extent Homelander's agenda as leader of the Seven, Ashley, I guess through pure fear, is kind of implementing here, because it felt like this was his decision after what he had observed and heard from the distance. Yeah. And the whole of Vought is backing that position.
Well, yes, truly, Homelander is really head of Vought now. While Ashley is in the role as CEO, she's not really in charge of it. She has to do what Homelander asks her to do. So it does explain, though, as I was thinking about it, Marie shoots the blood bullets, killing another Supe who's trying to kill Ashley. But Ashley's the one that called Homelander there to help save her. And that's basically what Marie did. But it's when Marie blows the arm off Cate that he comes down and goes, hang on a second, you're attacking or you're hurting other Supes. So I think he was kind of okay with her shooting the blood bullets to stop and protect Ashley, because that's what he was there for as well. But when she takes off the hand of another Supe, that's when he's saying to her, what kind of animal are you?
Yeah.
So,
and he fires up the eyes as well after a cheeky little wink, which Marie survives.
That was a bit of a surprise.
It was actually. But she also picked up a helicopter blade. So again, I guess with the blood powers comes some form of enhanced strength and resilience as well. Yeah. Because she took that blast from Homelander's laser eyes. Again, maybe it's something connected with what Newman said, is you don't realize, I thought I was the only one. You don't realize, the power that you hold.
Maybe, yeah.
And we have Dr. Cardova saying that earlier in the season, where he says, I want to test on Marie. Her powers are so unique. And the only reason he can't is because of the benefactor that is Newman.
Yes,
so
that's true.
There is probably more to learn about Marie's powers here. Maybe she was able to form a massive scab-like shield from a sort of clotting blood.
Just auto-form it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it does inform, as you say, she has the same powers or similar powers to Newman. So again, Newman's someone that we're a bit sketchy about who she is. So if she has the same power as Marie, she could also be protected from Homelander's attack as well in the future. So it's interesting how all this stuff could lead into The Boys season 4 and some of the character elements that we'll see in there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But ultimately the Vought machine spins against Marie, Jordan, Andre, and Emma, elevating the protagonists, in this case, Sam and Cate, as the guardians, the new guardians of Godolkin.
Yes.
With Marie, Jordan, Andre, and Emma confined to a doorless room somewhere. I thought this was kind of like, oh wow. And like the fact that they left it there, I was like, oh my goodness, that's a real like cliffhanger. But I'm fine with it because it's really good knowing it is going to bleed into Boys season 4. So I'm expecting to see them pop up in the same way that the characters from The Boys have popped up here. Maybe not massively, but certainly as well with then the final ending of having Billy Butcher in the woods. You know, it's a possibility.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not sure whether we're going to see the Gen V characters in there. And we know there's a second season of Gen V, so maybe this is a way to keep them off the table for the next season of The Boys and bring them back at the start of season 2 of Gen V. That's a possibility. To me, I was kind of going, oh, they've learned from keeping Maeve in that room that had a door and she was able to get out of there. So they've learned from that. They've put these 4 powered people underground in a box that they can't get out of. So, and similar to the woods, all those rooms had doors and they were able to get out. So here we are, these 4 people in a room with no doors.
But they have to get stuff into them.
They probably have to get food into them, yes.
Yeah, there's food, drink, the power. You know, I actually almost thought it would raise up. So actually it was more on a lift mechanism. So yes, there's no door, but you lift it up and then there is a door that you can access it. Yeah. Because you've got to get them in it. Unless it was built around them, which I don't think it was.
I don't think so. I did want to just quickly, of course, call out that the new Guardians of Godolkin, Cate and Sam, I don't think it's any coincidence, of course, that they're both blonde-haired and blue-eyed, just like Homelander.
But that's true, yeah. Exactly. And of course, we've got Psycho Sam as well. So, I mean, like, Psycho Sam.
And Cate. Cate's a psycho.
Yeah.
What she's been doing here. She
red eyes,
throat. She set all of these people on any human that was on the campus of Godolkin University, including people that would have been teaching staff, people that would have worked and helped her out throughout the couple of years that she spent on this site. She was like, kill them, they're only human.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Both of them are psychos, just like Homelander. But it kind of goes back to the discussion at the beginning of the season where we had Marie and Andre possibly being the Guardians of Godolkin. They were going, oh, well, you know, don't know whether the colour and their race would play a part in this. Maybe that won't play well with Middle America. Here we are now, the new Guardians of Godolkin, both blonde-haired, blue-eyed.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think this matches quite much better with Vaught's PR policies.
Oh, definitely. Good stuff. Any notes from this episode?
Well, I do think we have to talk a little bit about Billy Butcher's appearance in the post-credit scene, John.
Yes,
I know we said he appeared there, but he's arriving in there. What he's seeing is exactly what Cate saw. He's seeing Asup dead on the ground, killed by Shetty, effectively, or killed by what the experimentation that was doing here. So this is what's going to lead on to season 4. This is the piece that's going to be brought in. He now knows there's a way to kill Supes, and he knows where it was created. So all he has to do is get that detail. Yeah. And then he has his new weapon to take out Supes, which has always been the purpose of Billy Butcher, right?
Billy in the woods. Exactly. Really good. I think that's the end of our senior moment. Any other notes from this episode?
Literally, the only other thing I wrote down was that student that was in the woods, where Cate asks, when's the last time you saw sunlight? And he goes, is Gangnam Style still a thing?
Absolutely.
Just to point out, Gangnam Style was released in 2012, so it's 11 years.
Oh, wow.
He's been in there. So very similar to Sam, I would guess.
Yeah. You can understand why they went mental and started going on a killing rampage after being released.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying, like, I get it.
You can, but it was very brutal.
Oh, no, it
really
was,
violent.
absolutely.
Like, even that first kill that we saw from Sam when they arrived in the woods, the first moment, and Greg, or Bob, behind the mask is going to Cate, oh, I haven't seen you in a while, welcome back, and is about to give her an update of what's going on, and then gets a fist through the face from Sam.
And she also tells then another god to eat his own hand, and he starts crunching through his fingers.
Yeah.
which was pretty epic.
They have all gone totally psychotic.
Yeah, definitely.
And they're totally free and now leaders of Godolkin University.
And backed by a powerful company. So, yeah.
The world of the boys doesn't change, just stays the same.
No.
Yeah.
But hugely, as we always say about this, hugely appropriate and relevant for what's going on in, media and stuff across the world.
Absolutely. The radicalization of these people,
We've got absolute, see you next Tuesdays going on to sort of certain shows like I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, or what's it, SAS one? It's like, I know they should be behind bars. Like, anyway.
Yes, but I'm sure they're all doing that because a reality show presenter ended up being president of the US, even though with no qualifications. Again, the commentary from the boys as there always is.
So always highly topical. But
the whole reason why they're doing it is because they're all members of the same country club, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Definitely. But finally then, what did you think of episode 8, Guardians of Godolkin, Derek?
Loved it. It was a bit short and very, very fast paced. I'm really surprised at how everything wrapped up as quickly as it did at the end of the episode. We did hear the call earlier on, get Homelander from Ashley. Once Homelander arrives, there's about 40 seconds, I think, until the closing credits, roughly. It's just such a short period from Battle of Godolkin to credits rolled. So that's a bit of a shame, but at least we know we have a second season confirmed. We have The Boys season 4 filmed and ready to go next year, I believe, early next year. So I'm really glad that's happened. I thought the show overall has been really interesting, seeing what's going on in the minds of students in the world of The Boys, especially students with superpowers. So overall, it's been a really good season. I've been really enjoying it. So a good crown on that. But just felt like I want a bit more, which is fine. It's the first season. We'll get a second season and we'll get The Boys season 4. So that's absolutely grand. Enjoyed it though. Really, really good fun.
Excellent stuff.
How about yourself, John? What did you think of this finale for Gen V?
Yeah, I really, really loved it. I'd give it 4.5 don't touch my knuckles out of 5. Just to quote Adam Bourke there.
Yes.
I absolutely loved it. The one thing I forgot to mention was, as we started watching it, it was the previously on. That was absolutely hilarious, which just showed exploding heads, Emma coming out the ear, Emma sliding down the shaft of the creepy guy's penis. I thought that was hilarious before moving on to the previously on.
Absolutely, yes.
Was
so what's been
really nice little touch, actually, to open it. I was laughing my head off there. I thought this was really good. Yeah, absolutely. Fast-paced, short, absolute cliffhanger at the end, but I quite like that, knowing that events from this are going into season 4.
Yes.
So I do expect to see them to some extent, or at least talked about in the peripheral.
They will be,
because we know that season 4 of The Boys will bleed then back into season 2 of Gen V. So I think there does have to be some common connections. It might be more with Sam and Cate, possibly, because new Guardians of Godolkin, they need new members of the Seven. Always the possibility there. So I really liked how you can see these through lines beginning to occur because of the great stuff of having Ashley at Godolkin here, having Homelander and Billy Butcher show up at the end, no matter how small the cameo. Again, really, really good. I love that total twist on it. It makes total sense from Homelander's perspective, knowing he is pro-Supe and in effect anti-human, which is what Cate and Sam have become here. Loads of bloody moments here, unique, interesting, funny in their own different ways. As I say, the standout one for me was with the epilogue from Adam Bourke again saying, I'm putting that in my next movie. After being protected by Marie, using and developing her gifts of blood power. I thought that was really Really good.
I also liked the joke with the influencer girl as they lose Wi-Fi and LTE. Oh my God, no connection to the internet. And she goes, but who's going to know if we die? Because she can't live stream her own death.
Exactly.
Crazy.
So yeah, for me, I absolutely love this episode. I thought it was a really good series. For this episode, 4.5 Don't Touch My Knuckles out of 5.
Fantastic. Good stuff. Good stuff. I think we need to go to the Student Union bar, John.
I think we definitely need a drink after all that chaos and bloodshed, for
Last
sure.
time.
Yes, it is the last time for this season of Gen V. Welcome, fellow quizzers, fellow boys and girls, to the student bar here in Godolkin. Grab a WKD and sit yourself down.
Or shots.
Oh, shots, indeed. Question 8 from this episode. What is written on the front of Sam's sweatshirt?
Before it gets covered in multiple amounts of blood,
Well,
I think,
exactly.
at some point. So you'd definitely be able to catch it, though, right?
Yes, you can.
John, one more time.
What is written on the front of Sam's sweatshirt?
And that's it. That is the 8th question of 8 for our Gen V Student Union bar quiz, I think is the full name of our quiz. Put that together with all the answers for all other 8 questions. Email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com and you could be in with a chance of getting your hands on some Gen V goodies. And as I said, if we're lucky, if we got it right, that includes a God U Letterman jacket. So hopefully that'll be coming in the next couple of weeks.
So right, yes, we do have some feedback in from some of our fellow boys and girls. First up, we have an email from Coffee and Vodka who says, greetings, fellow confusing campus defenders. So much rides on controlling the message surrounding all of this, and all of it so untenable. Vought Media seems to be saying Supes can murder without provocation or punishment, while Vought corporations trying to hold the public trust. In the meantime, civil war seems to have gone from brewing to boiling over, with Homelander killing a protester, and now a campus fracas gone nuclear, V-style. With the non-powered powerful board of trustees citing Marie and co as guardians of Godolkin, and the media wing seeing Sam and one-armed Cate as the heroes, this is anything but easy to untangle, like trying to sort soup. About the only things certain here are that Shetty is indeed dead, unless the riot was part of their plan, Sam's completely nuts, and that Polarity's problem had nothing to do with the virus. It is still a cliffhanger if the cliff's been dynamited and those hanging on the cliff have been teleported to a mysterious doorless cell. The Boys Season 4 cannot come soon enough. Saying all this, it was awesome. 4 catastrophic events, hallucinated Lukes, and Ash Hawks down out of 5. Peace and take care, Coffee and Vodka.
Very good.
Excellent stuff, Coffee and Vodka.
There.
Yes, really good.
Ashley in a copter. Yes,
definitely. And I can see what you mean. Like, it does roller coaster. It's very quick to that ending. Yes, I mean, I don't think ultimately the cell is doorless. And I do think that they have massively shorthanded a lot of stuff here, like you say, around the Supes, non-Supes, and so on, and how that provocation, the punishment being done now in public, this fracas has escalated. I think it has gone shorthand, for sure. I think the interesting thing is around how Vought as a corporation how their media wing has put, the Guardian of Godolkin tag onto Sam and Cate, and how that will play out. Because I think this is all still a very uneasy kind of position between the Supes and non-Supes for sure. But really glad as well that you thought it was awesome, because it was awesome, I have to say. But I know what you mean. It went very quickly to a conclusion and escalated very quickly.
Yes, it did. But still, really enjoyable episode, and lots more to come in the story, I guess, as we go into the next 2 shows. Thanks very much for that, Coffee and Vodka.
Yeah, good stuff. Thanks, Coffee and Vodka.
Over on our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/TV Podcast Industries, we had some feedback on this episode. First up, Dr. Bob Phillips says, fire, blood, murder, mayhem, double dealing, heroic arts, and horrors uncovered. I do not want to know what happened in the pediatric oncology fundraiser. Lots of twists I didn't see coming, cameos we deserved and were treated with, and a cliff to be hung off rather than an end. Knowing this is a bridge to the next boys makes it bearable. Just. Very much enjoyed this episode.
Excellent stuff. Thanks, Dr. Bob. Yeah, I think I'm the same with you. I think knowing there are these through threads to season 4 of The Boys, and I think also to Coffee and Vodka's, feedback saying about, can't wait for season 4 so that it can be untangled and explained. I think, that is the great thing, is just knowing that, and hopefully they do that justice. But I think ultimately, Dr. Bob, we all know what happened at the pediatric oncology fundraiser.
Yes, but interestingly, it also confirms that that Bourke and Ashley have been together before, because we did see them at the premiere of Dawn of the Seven, so it's a repeated coupling of the two of them, even though Ashley absolutely hates Bourke. Thanks, Dr. Bob.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Bob.
We also got some feedback in from David Mr. Writer, who says, man, the Emma and Sam breakup, right in the heart. Cate with the genocide movement, WTF. Marie just blowing up Kate's hand, okay, WTF. It ends like that. It ends just like that. I am so upset, genuinely upset. How could they end it like that? I wanted more. Why was it so short? Until next time, I guess. Talk about cliffhangers.
Yeah, I think, it certainly was a speedy episode for sure. I just am hoping that it is because the integration of Gen V into Boys Season 4 will be much more than we think. As I say, whether it is that Cate and Sam become the new members of the Seven that they have lost. We have Billy Butcher looking for this virus, seeing how it's escalated with this fracas on campus at Godolkin. So it'll be interesting.
I do also wonder, and I don't know anything from behind the scenes at all. We do have the second season of Gen V confirmed now. That was confirmed as the run of the show was going out. But I do wonder if they prepared 2 versions of the end of the show. One ends tragically with the death of Marie, and then the post-credit scene, almost the epilogue scene, is added to it if they get a second season where Cate and Sam are confirmed as the guardians of Godolkin, and the other 4 are put in the cell. Whether that was the extra scene they added, but it could have ended with Homelander effectively killing all of our major characters. Because if it's not successful and you have a continuing major show like The Boys going on, which is going to get season 4 is coming up, if this wasn't successful and you left it open-ended, then that could have been a major problem, right?
Yeah,
so
no, absolutely.
I do wonder if they just had those 2 options for this final episode.
Yeah, they could have done. And David, absolutely, around Emma and Sam's breakup, it was like, oh my goodness, can't believe this is happening. I really did think she was going to get through to him.
Yeah.
But sadly not. The one thing as well that we've forgotten to say is that she shrinks after that.
That's right.
Without having to throw up. So again, another slight little evolution in Emma's power, because when we do see her again in that non-door cell, then she is back to, I guess, regular size.
Yeah.
So
how does that work? Does she have to have a traumatic event makes her shrink, and then she has to be super happy to grow again?
Possibly.
Or can they be intermingled? She shrinks because she had a really depressing experience, and then she eats some food and grows back up. Don't know. I don't know which is worse, purging and shrinking, or having a really depressing moment and shrinking. I don't know which is worse.
But maybe it was just the thought of, I don't want to be here. I want to be out of the situation. That idea of shrinking to the sides or into the shadows to escape. But with her, because she's got compound V in it, she literally shrinks.
So maybe she will learn to control the power better and won't have to purge.
Exactly.
I like it. Good stuff. Thanks, David, Mr. Writer.
Yeah, thank you so much, David, Mr. Writer. Finally, Mindy Megan over on Facebook says, holy moly, I'm glad we already have confirmation of season 2, because ending on a cliffhanger like that would otherwise be torture. While it feels like a stretch, I can at least see and understand Kate's character arc. but I'm curious if I'm the only one who was really surprised and a little confused by Sam's seemingly sudden change in temperament and behaviour, particularly with Emma. Did Cate push him and I missed it? I feel like I need to go rewatch the previous episode and look for some foreshadowing that would explain him. Overall, though, this season has been a joy and a great appetizer while we wait for the next season of The Boys to come out of the Prime Video oven. My senior moments this episode were Marie learning more about her powers. Maybe we learned that Emma's shrinking powers are triggered by something more emotional, like shame, than physical, like purging. Jordan and Marie working together, Cate's hands getting blown off, and of course the ominous cameo of Homelander and post-credit cameo of Billy Butcher. As soon as I saw that silhouette, I knew whose ridiculously oversized boots we were looking at. One con, I was really hoping to get another kiss between Marie and female presenting Jordan. As always, amazing writing as we've come to expect from the crew of creators. Thanks so much, Mindy. I do agree with you, certainly I think, on Sam's change, in particular around Emma. I think him wanting to go after humans, I think that's where his battle comes from, because actually he's wanting to go after the likes of Shetty, Cardova, and those people. And in the end, that net is spread wide to security guards in Godolkin University, not even in the woods. And I think that's where his struggle is coming. But I agree.
I'd argue that they're about the same, the security guards in Godolkin and
probably,
in the woods,
probably.
But we did see in the previous episode, and we talked about the radicalization of him in episode 7, that's where the seeds of this are sown. His time spent with Rufus, his time on campus with the speech from Newman, everything turning a bit more us versus them, that we're superior to humans. So it all did start there, and then to be paired with Cate, who has her power, the two of them side by side going after humans and taking the revenge that he feels is deserved.
I do agree with that notion of him becoming a hero in quotes, as in they are quotes, seeing it. Yeah. But I do agree with Mindy around the sudden change in temperament and behavior against Emma. And the only way I put that down was his inner conflict that we were seeing there with Luke. Yeah. But nonetheless, you're right. It felt very quickly reached by Sam after what they had experienced over a longer period. And that's what I think possibly some of the issues for this, even though people in the main liked this ending, the issue is that it was absolutely an escalation or an acceleration of different things around some of these characters, even though it had been slightly foreshadowed in previous ones. And as I say, I think I can basically understand the reasons for it with Cate and Sam, but I totally understand it was rapidly shifted on in this final episode, with a lot of other things then happening as well.
Yeah, but let us know what you think, Mindy, when you do the rewatch of the last couple of episodes, because I think it's there, and I think the other part of it with Sam and Emma particularly is that he's not only just trying to get his revenge and she's standing in his way, he's also pushing her away. You know, we did kind of mention when she says to him, I'm in love with you, I know you're broken, but I am too. And we kind of mentioned, there's broken like you are, Emma, and then there's broken like Sam is after all that he's experienced. So so there was a bit of foreshadowing to that. We also saw him rip apart an entire SWAT team who he thought were puppets. So he's imbalanced from everything that's happened to him as well. So he doesn't have a sense of right and wrong. He has a sense of revenge and attack are kind of his versions of right and wrong.
Well, that's it. And Luke and Emma are the ones that were trying to soften that edge. Exactly. And maybe they've just not succeeded ultimately.
Exactly.
But great stuff, Mindy. Thanks so much for the feedback. And thank you, fellow boys and girls, for all your feedback for this episode and, of course, the season. we will, of course, be back for Gen V Season 2, but more importantly, and a little bit accelerated as well, a bit closer to where we are now, for Eric Kripke's Boys Season 4 next year, which will be coming out. Cannot wait for that, certainly given this cliffhanger of an episode.
Absolutely. It was a blood-filled series of Gen V, and we have already started, as I mentioned, our new show, another blood-filled show on Prime Video, Invincible Season 2. First episode, A Lesson for Your Next Life, is out right now on your podcast catcher of choice. Go check that out if you've enjoyed The Boys. It's not exactly the same, a little bit more elevated. There are more aliens in that show than humans as well. So, but go check it out if you enjoyed The Boys. You might find it fun.
Yeah, great stuff. Thank you so much, fellow boys and girls, for watching. Please remember to share the podcast with family, friends, superheroes, you name it.
College kids. Yeah.
College kids, because sharing the podcast is, of course, sharing the love.
Yes,
Indeed.
it is.
But in the meantime, and until The Boys Season 4, remember, fellow boys and girls, keep watching, keep listening, and keep being an awesome bunch of boys and girls.
Bye.
Bye.